Good morning, Apex University. My name is Dan, and I'll be your coach for today. So yesterday we had a look at what can go wrong if you have a poor drop and you don't get the loot you need for an early fight, as well as paying attention to your surroundings. Today we're going to look at somebody that knows how to drop, gets a wingman and an armor right off the bat. Baku here, how he handles his engagements. We'll see in a second here that he's clearly got the aim to follow up on the looting. However, sometimes stuff still goes wrong, and we can learn from it. So what we're going to do in this VOD is we'll see in a second here that his teammate, the unliterate here, decides to chase the target down, and Baku goes for the same target as well, right here. We'll see something happen that happens quite a lot when you play with your friends. 10 damage, the kill gets yoinked. We all know what that feels like. However, there is something here that we can talk about, which is your decision making when it comes to approaching this situation. You know that there's a bunch of enemies around. You know that your teammate is chasing somebody right here, but you don't quite know what's going on around you. So your first instinct when approaching the situation is just to run out into the open until you have a line of sight on your enemy. Now in this situation, you don't get punished for it, even though you have a lot of cover available around you and you could pincer this enemy with your teammate. We're gonna see the same thing happen. We're gonna see the same thing happen a bunch of times in this VOD, like right here. A very nice shot, good trigger discipline on this lifeline. However, a very bad engage, and you don't get punished for it. Right here, we don't know anything about this lifeline. Your teammate just went down, but he is far, so we don't know because we haven't heard any communication about whether this lifeline is damaged, which means for all intents and purposes, she right now could be full health with purple armor. You hit her once, and she turns around with a fully decked out Peacekeeper and shoots you in the face. You would be dead. Your decision to drop down here when you have a free headshot on her from where you are is bad, because you would have to use your Wraith Walk to get out alive if we shoot her now and she has purple armor, or blue, or even common. This risk was unnecessary. And the same thing happens right here. We see you in a tunnel and you are quite literally tunnel visioning. Within this area there's only a couple points of interest, which is this piece of cover right here, this one here, and then there is one on the right side behind your enemy that you are shooting. However, let's see what you do. You decide to take this fight out in the open anyway. Now we see a marching trend going on here. You clearly have the aim to outplay these enemies. You're clearly able to beat them in a 1v1. However, because of that, you're taking your engages poorly. You're not getting punished for it most of the time until you do. We're pointing these mistakes out right now because sooner or later you're going to run into a team position or an opponent that is too good to fall for such an obvious fight, and they'll punish you for it. It's important to get rid of these bad habits now, build a habit for good engages. And right here, if we go back for just a second and see what happened right there, you see the two grenades get thrown at you, and you are, very rightfully so, behind cover right here. Now your Void Walk ability is off of cooldown, so when you start channeling it behind this cover, you'll have it in time for these grenades not to hit you, and they won't be able to stop you from backing off, resetting, or waiting for them to push behind cover. So I don't think there is a good excuse here for not using your Void Walk ability. I think that was a mistake. And right here you decide to peek and you go back in cover because you're still healing. That is very good. But let's pause here again for a second, because we see the exact same happening, the exact same thing happening over and over again. You decide to take a fight out in the open here because you heal on this side in cover. Peek out, see the enemy rushing you, go back into cover, you finish your heal. Very good so far. And as soon as your enemy is close, instead of holding the corner against him, decide to fight him out in the open. Right here, even though there is another enemy still behind him. What you could have easily done is held the corner so that you don't have to expose yourself to his teammate and then taken the fight. Now luckily your aim is so much better than theirs. They only did a little bit of damage to you, but this damage is unnecessary. You could have prevented it, and by preventing it you would be better set up for the rest of the game, or potentially to fight stronger opponents. And then we see the exact same thing happening out here. You again expose yourself to two opponents while you are closer to the corner, so you can dictate who weeks. You get punished for it. You do get some cover because you managed to slide in your reload. You're clearly very mechanically skilled, but it is just not being careful enough.
Here, they're both low. Get him. Yeah, yeet. Right here, he's hiding in the corner.
Teammate shows up and kicks their ass. Very good. One last thing to point out here. It wouldn't make a huge difference, but it's just nice to know, is that a common trap that we fall into when playing with our friends and using verbal communication on Discord is to forget about the amazing communication system in-game. In this situation where a Pathfinder was hiding behind this cover, you really should have used your ping and put it on him. Makes it just a little bit easier for your friend to pre-aim right on the Pathfinder and get that quick kill. You won the fight, have 3 kills, you found some healing, very good.
People outside. I'm gonna go ahead
and we talked a lot about awareness previously, and what you do right here is very good. You decide to use the doors and hold them to get a line of sight on where you hear the enemies while you're healing. This way, not only do you know where they might be fighting, but you also know if they might be pushing you and whether you can finish your heal. There is one mistake here that I would like to point out, which is this is not a common door. When you do this with a common door, they have to use a grenade or quick it twice to open it if you're standing next to it. With these large doors, that is not possible as a Wraith. So when you're using a slow healing item, such as a Phoenix or a medkit, you want to not stand at the windows of the doors, but you want to stand at the sides and use a diagonal sideline to look at your opponents. Alright.
I'm using right now, but besides that I got nothing.
No, I know. I'm trying to find fucking I need shield.
Along with some body ammo. Five? I was hearing some more shots this direction.
Right, good comms, you are using the ping, which is good.
Oh shit, that's right, I forgot that we're missing him.
Right, you know where your opponents are because of the gunshots, and right here, this is one of the saddest things to see as a coach. Not because you made any big mistake here, but because you did something almost so perfectly. So let's have a look at your movement right here. You decide to slide out, jump, and flick your mouse 90 degrees so that you can look at the direction where you hear your enemies, you hear the gunshots. This is very good. Now why does this matter? It matters because you are on a slope, right? So what I want to see you do here is after your jump, I want to see you land into a slide so that you can keep looking at this area. We saw you looking towards the res earlier. Not only were there no opponents, but it is unlooted and unused. So right now, it's very unlikely for there to be a serious threat there. And it would just be nice to have that little bit of extra intel and see if they notice you and your team going for this res, because that makes a huge difference in how safe this is. Something else to point out here that I really like you doing is you use the rest station on the correct side because you are blocking line of sight from this enemy team, making it safer for you to rest here. Very good.
I should have crouched. Alright.
Alright, you get your team member up and you are being engaged upon by the enemy team. You decide to take some shots here at your opponent,
No shields on
only natural, and I want to talk about the angle that you took right here. So you decide to shoot between the barrier and this cover you have right here, which is very good because it decreases the line of sight area that opponents can have on you. However, look at the effective line of sight for a second, which is this area, and look at the area that you are blocking. The sides of the map that you are blocking, as far as we know, have no opponents on them whatsoever, and the only line of sight you have is opened onto all of your opponents. So if you're going to use this cover, use it properly by using it on your left side here or on the right side around the bubble. Either way, you would be blocking more effective line of sight from this enemy team. These nades on you would not be possible. You do get a knock, use the bubble. This is very good. I would have liked to, if you do push up, play a little bit closer to the bubble. You take a bit less damage that way.
Whoa.
And right here we see a very common occurrence, which is that you are clearly capable of darting from cover to cover, because we see you consistently playing very close to cover, which is good. You're just not quite using it. Your instinct from the bubble is to slide to somewhere where you have cover on your left. You keep doing this. You have some half cover in front of you as well, but you don't actually decide to use it. Let's have a look. You're exposed. Why? And I'm not pointing this out because I want to make fun of you, I'm pointing this out because it is very visible in your movement here that you have the skills to use this cover effectively and that you understand sidelines. The way you decided to res on the other side clearly means you understand where they are and how they can shoot you. Yet you're not using that information effectively.
It's not even low, I just broke his arm shield.
Alright, so you are down out in the open.
Oh, that's not...
And your teammate sadly tries to go for a very risky res and he gets punished for it. Alright, there's one last thing that I wanted to point out in this fight as we go back a little bit to how this fight starts. So you know that you have put yourself on the low ground, you know you need to block line of sight, and you notice them pushing you. This is all very good, you're clearly paying attention. In this situation you've got quite a lot of cover and you know that they are engaging on you. If you know the enemy team is going to engage on you, take a power position. I would like to see you move to the back of this shed, to the top of it, to the top of the building behind you, somewhere on this left side where you can prevent them from flanking your team, where you can defend the position that your team is holding while your teammate is resing and give yourself some space to play with. If you were to play like that, I believe with your aim, you could beat all of these teams quite easily, and I want to see you do it. With that said, I hope this was helpful. I hope you all have an amazing day. Peace.